Good evening and welcome to Cat's Cauldron, a place where you have a voice and we stir it up. Well, welcome to Tuesday, titillating Tuesday, I might add. So welcome back from your holiday. Those of you who got a chance to have a holiday, congratulations and welcome back. So we have so much to talk about. There's never a shortage of news lately. So let's go ahead and dive right on into some of that. Oh my goodness. Well, guess what? There's not only a shortage of baby food, but there's also a shortage of tampons. Yay! Lucky us. I feel like we're back in 2020. So we had a shortage of toilet paper in 2020. Now we have a shortage of tampons. Yay! Just something else to look forward to on our daily grind. Lucky us. Woo! Let's give them a good hand. Way to go. Way to go, Biden administration. One more thing to look forward to. Gas shortage, baby shortage. Hey, now tampon shortage. High prices of gas. Whoa, I got to sit in line the other day, wait for a pump, because guess what? They had to close down pumps. Wasn't that wonderful? Because they weren't working, because they couldn't get the pumps to fix them. They couldn't get the parts to fix the pumps. Wonderful. So let's just dive right on into the baby formula shortage. If you notice when you go into the store, half of the shelves are empty. First, it was baby formula. Now, the latest supply chain issue is complicated daily life for women across America. Yeah. Okay. Isn't that wonderful? So I just wanted to let you know about that one. I'm going to get into that in a second. So, the baby formula shortage. U.S. regulators have historically inspected baby formula plants at least once a year, but they did not inspect any of the three biggest manufacturers in 2020, according to federal records reviewed by the Associated Press. Now, according to what they're telling us in this article, is they used COVID as an excuse as to not to inspect the baby formula manufacturers. That's not an excuse. You had all the PPE in the world that you needed, and you could use social distancing in order to inspect these plants. So don't give me that.
Oh, come on now. That ain't even bullshit. That's horse shit.
There you go. Enjoy that one, okay? Don't give me that excuse. It's an excuse. It's just a crock. So don't give me that. When they finally get inside an Abbott Nutrition formula plant in Michigan after a 2-year gap, 2 years, so they're cranking out baby formula without being inspected for 2 years. Let that sink in. You're feeding your baby contaminated food. They found standing water and lax sanitation procedures, but inspectors offered only voluntary suggestions for fixing the problems and issues. No formal warning. There you go. Let's kick that into our brain. Inspectors would return 5 months later after 4 infants who consumed powdered formula from the plant suffered bacterial infections. They found bacterial contamination inside the factory, leading to a 4-month shutdown and turning a festering supply shortage into a full-blown crisis that sent parents scrambling to find formula and forced the U.S. to airlift products from overseas. The gap in baby formula plant inspections brought on by COVID-19 pandemic is getting new scrutiny from Congress and government watchdogs investing the series of missteps that led to a crisis. A recent bill would require the Food and Drug Administration to inspect infant formula facilities every 6 months, and the government's Inspector General for Health has launched an inquiry into the FDA's handling of Abbott's facility of the largest in U.S. Now tell me, help me out here. I can tell you from a military standpoint, working for the government, that this is hogwash. You don't go 2 years for an inspection on anything like that. It's minimum a year, and usually it's every 6 to 9 months. So this is nonsense. Okay, so FDA skipped thousands of inspections. Abbott resumed production at the plant early this month under a legally binding agreement with the FDA, but the shutdown and nationwide shortage exposed how concentrated the industry had become in the U.S., with a handful of companies accounting for roughly 90% of the market. Folks, here we have a huge issue. As COVID-19 swept across the U.S. in early 2020, the FDA pulled most of its safety inspectors from the field. Here come the excuses. I'm just going to, sit down, hold on to your seats. The FDA did not conduct more than 800 mission-critical inspections during the first year of the pandemic. The agency said in a statement, regulators selected facilities for inspections based on whether they carried a specific safety risk or were needed to produce an important medical therapy. Only 3 of the nation's 23 facilities that make, package, or distribute formula made the cut. The FDA resumed routine inspections in July of 2021. The inspection records reviewed by the AP showed gaps as large as 2.5 years between the FDA's 2019 inspections. And when regulators returned to plants owned by the 3 leading formula manufacturers, Abbott, Reckitt, and Gerber. In fact, the FDA still has yet to return to 1 key plant owned by Reckitt and 2 owned by Gerber. According to agency records, all those facilities are operating around the clock to boost U.S. formula production. The U.S. would have had more chances to catch these issues if they had been inspecting during the pandemic, said Sarah Sorcer, a food safety specialist with the Center for Science in Public Interest. She acknowledged the difficult trade-off the FDA faced in pulling its inspector to reduce their exposure to COVID-19. Certainly, there was a price to pay for protecting their workers during that time. High priority. Baby formula manufacturers were consistently identified as high priority during the pandemic, and there is currently no backlog of inspections. The agency told AP in response to inquiries about the gaps. The agency said it skipped about 1,500 U.S. inspections due to COVID, but it has already made up about 5,000 of those, exceeding its own goals. I'm sorry, did you just see that look I gave you? Exceeding whose goals? Your goals? And who are you protecting? You? Your families? Or our families? We're paying you salaries. You work for the government. Under current law, the FDA is only required to inspect formula factories every 3 to 5 years. Every 3 to 5 years. I think you need to change the laws. But the agency has consistently inspected facilities annually until the pandemic. So they're only required, let's reread that. They're only required to inspect every 3 to 5 years, but has consistently inspected annually. What that tells me is they were required to do it annually, but they changed it so that they didn't get into trouble. But we're just going to say that, okay? But outside experts say the gap in inspection speaks to a blind spot in the government's response effort, which was successful at preventing shortages of drugs and other medical supplies. FDA Commissioner Robert Califf says regulators knew shutting down Abbott's plant would create supply problems, but there was little evidence of urgency between when inspectors shut the plant in February and recent emergency measures to allow more imports from abroad. I'm not sure I'm really trusting the imports from abroad, because where are we getting them from? That would be a good question to know. Where are we getting these supplies from abroad? Drugs over food safety. Long-time food safety specialists see a deeper problem at the highest levels of the FDA, where physicians and medical scientists for decades have prioritized oversights of drugs and medical products over food. It's very challenging for them to get engaged at all times in this area because they don't have the background, the knowledge, and experience in it, said Stephen Mandernack, Executive Director of the Association of Food and Drug Officials, which represents state-level inspectors. The FDA shares oversight of food production and safety in the United States Department of Agriculture. FDA inspections of food facilities peaked in 2011 and have declined most years since, despite increased funds and powers by Congress. The FDA says that while U.S. inspections have declined, foreign facilities inspections have increased. I've got some swampland to show you if you believe all of that. There's certainly that extra inspections during COVID. There's no certainty, first day with my new mouth. There's no certainty that extra inspections during COVID-19 would have prevented the contamination problems at the Sturgis, Michigan plant that was shut down. And Abbott says that its products have been directly linked to the infections, 2 of which were fatal. Okay. I say that if you'd inspected those plants, you could have stopped it. You could have actually paused it and said, fix this problem because you are causing a problem and it is unsanitary. You need to stop production, clean this up, because until you clean this up, you cannot produce. If it's unsanitary, you can't produce a product to put in a child's mouth.
Warning, bullshit alert.
You can't be putting crap in a child's mouth and expect them to be able to survive. Don't get me started. I'm about to say some 4-letter words here. But the plant did have earlier problems, including a 2010 formula recall due to possible contamination with insect parts. Now, if in 2010 you had a problem, at that point, you should have had every 6 months periodic spot checks. And if you didn't, there's something wrong with the FDA. I think facilities that had known problems that could cause a food safety risk should have been a part of the FDA's mission critical work, Mandernack said. Okay, there's your first sign, Mandernack, and this facility would have been among those. Not having regular inspections or even the threat of them can lead to changes in culture at plants like Abbott's, Mandernack noted. Agreed, 100%. So there is the backstory to the baby food shortage, or that of what I could actually research and find. All right, so now we have, wow. Why is there a tampon shortage? The Redditors have noted the tampon shortage for months. I got this off of Reddit. The issue flew largely under the radar until first until Time first wrote about great tampon shortage earlier in June. Of course, tampons are not the only commodity in short supply. Global supply chains have been under stress since the beginning of the pandemic, disrupting consumers across to a variety of goods, among them toilet paper, baby formula, cars, kitchen appliances. I can attest to cars. I just went shopping for one for my daughter, and it was heinous, I must say. Heinous. Whoo, baby. Andrew Schultzen, the chief financial officer of Procter & Gamble, which manufactures Tampax, the tampon giant that sells 4.5 billion boxes globally each year, said on a recent earnings call that it had been costly and highly volatile to acquire the raw materials needed for production, such as cotton and plastic. Inflation is also making other popular menstrual products more expensive. Bloomberg reported that the average price for a package of menstrual pads increased by over 8%. I can attest to that. Okay, 8%. Yeah. We went from $1.99 and $2.99 to $4.99. It went more than 8%, folks. You know, you need to get out more. Okay, through the end of May, while the price of tampons increased nearly 10%, we're talking more like 25 and 30%. You need to jack that percentage up. Manufacturers and major retailers say they are trying to remedy the shortage. It's time to start making your own products, folks. A representative for Procter & Gamble told the New York Times that the company knew how frustrating it was for consumers who could not find what they needed, and said that it was working with retailers to customize availability. We can assure you that this is a temporary situation, the manufacturer said. Though it did not offer a more specific timeline, representatives for CVS and Walgreens also confirmed that the retailers had experienced a shortage in recent weeks. Okay, so they're saying it's a temporary situation. Is that like temporary inflation? Is that what we're saying? So inflation is temporary as well. It looks like stagflation to me. So I think we're all suffering from a lot of things, and it's not just there. So, you know, not only are tampons a shortage, also menstrual cups, maxi pads, menstrual discs. They are all a shortage. Everything is running low, folks. Sorry, it's Bad News Tuesday. I'm sorry, I have to give you bad news today. I want to put a plug in for I'm going to call them sponsors for today. That would be some of my favorite people, and that is Soldier Girl Coffee, some of the best coffee in the world. Let's see if I can get this cup up here. Can you see that? Ooh. Let me tell you something. If you want some good coffee, you need to get that Hawaiian blend or that Southern pecan coffee. Now, I'm not able to partake in it, but they have a wonderful CBD product, and my husband is able to partake in it, and it helps him with his pain relief. So I highly suggest that you hop right on down there, and they're in Walmart now. You can go to Walmart and get her product. Also, she has a new product called Cowboy Kick. So check her out. Get her coffee and rock out your morning. It will definitely jumpstart your morning. So my other sponsor, and I want you to go to theveteransranch.org. Give $1 for those who gave it for you. Our veterans give a blank check every time they put on the uniform for us. So give $1 for them. $20,000 for 22 a month. That's what we're shooting for. So please take a moment and give $1 for them. That's our show for today. I thank my sponsors for always supporting me. So please support them. Have a wonderful Tuesday, and I'll see you in the morning with your updates on gas prices. Thanks so much. Talk to you later. You can reach me on www.spreaker.com. Look for CATSCAULDRON, Cat's Cauldron. I'm on Anchor, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Getter, Reddit, Spotify, TikTok. I'm growing like wildfire on TikTok. Every day I have new people joining our crew. Where'd I lead off on? Oh my goodness. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and True Social. So join us. And on Mondays, we have Manic Mondays. Tuesdays is Titillating Rant for Titillating Tuesday. Wednesday, paranormal and curses and supernatural stuff. But sometimes I'll surprise you. Thursdays, veteran topics. Friday is TGIF and anything goes. And trust me, anything goes. And we have a good time on this show. I look forward to our time together. Thank you for joining me today. Have a great night. Good night.